So to continue on with where we left off in the last video, I was talking about the child predator and the family. But before we get over to that real quick, the thing that I had to really show the courts was this is a continuing theme in law enforcement's behavior, where Remitly has been known as being the most well-known sign of illegal assurances of money. This is why I am so sure that they have been taking money through illegal ways of running unemployment disability fraud for years and years. They're very open in asking for money. They ask for it right away. When they think that they have no other leverage against the person, then the first thing that they do against the person is to ask them for money. It could be money that they would make themselves through like a brain savant, or for anyone else, it could be money that is mainly accumulated through unemployment disability frauds. This is August the 9th, so today's the 14th. This is only 5 days ago. This is asking me for money from only 5 days ago. This is only 5 days ago, August the 9th. It is 12:41 p.m. You can clearly see on their shake hand of money, and on the other side there is also a transfer of money being going on there. Now, yes, it's true that this Remitly ad is basically in Hindi. It is Indian. The Indian government basically lets them know that they are watching over this very closely. This is the kind of behavior that is not accepted for law enforcement in any country in the world, and this is exactly why I am so sure that they are running money fraud in terms of unemployment disability fraud right now, and that every single person that they've been running sex schemes and money fraud with are criminals that were involved in crimes. We know this for a fact due to the fact that when they tried to frame me for the wedding crime after August 25th, 2023, they confessed to themselves that they knew that I had nothing to do with it. Poverty was a blessing in disguise for me, and all I did throughout my life was work hard with my mother. Whereas over here, the thing about it is just the fact that the wedding crime would have been committed by the law enforcement's own BFFs, people such as Sohaib and Assad, due to which every time the president afterwards, after 2023, would ask law enforcement to investigate the wedding crime, law enforcement would put up a cartoon video of the president saying these people do not know what they're doing, to try to make fun of him and just turn it into a joke and put it aside. Till this very day today, the wedding crime has never been investigated. It has never been prosecuted, and we know for a fact that it was a heinous crime just by looking at President Putin and Kim Jong-un's face from the year 2023, when law enforcement was basically trying to frame me for the wedding crime. This is law enforcement's actions, due to which we know that they've been running money fraud in terms of unemployment disability fraud, since no one gives their own money, and taking a portion of that money out for their own BFFs and law enforcement. This is only from August the 9th, which is only 5 days ago. It was 12:41 for the last one, and this is 12:47. This is only about 6 minutes later. Obviously, the Indian government changes it to speaking in Hindi, mainly due to the fact that it's illegal to be asking for any assurances of money before my brain savant would get freed, and yet this is exactly what law enforcement does, and this is their behavior. And this occurred all throughout. This money fraud, by the way, is something that they asked for all throughout the year January, all the entire month of January, while the court case was going on. Instead of the court judges, the honorable judges of the court, giving a verdict, law enforcement wanted to give a verdict on the side by making illegal assurances of money with me on the side, where I would give them this illegal assurance of money. This is from December the 10th. You could see on this video on the bottom was only about 6 hours before made on the same day that the ad was made on top, clearly proving that this is something that they asked me for on December 10th, right when the November 14th brain savant test comes out, is the day that they asked me for illegal assurances of this money right over here. So basically, this is why law enforcement knows that I'm very stubborn in terms of corruption and corrupt behavior, and that I will not make any deals with anyone in terms of money fraud, giving anyone any money. Instead, I will give my money, and I already have someone that I want have a wife in mind, and we take care of our money that way. But we are going to take care of the poor and the homeless in this world, and not corrupt law enforcement that are going to use their money for their sex schemes and other behavior. They also know that I do not go around scamming other people's daughters, even if it would benefit me by providing sex for me. It's not something I would do. It's not something I need to do, and it's not something I would help anyone else do by scamming them. Someone else, since after my brain savant gets freed, obviously I just get married instead of scamming other people's daughters from right now that I benefit nothing from, even if I receive sex from them. It's not something I would do, or even something that I would even need to do, and I will not help law enforcement do this either. Law enforcement is fully aware of this fact that these corrupt behavior are things that I am not either involved in, nor do I have any interest in doing. They are fully aware of the fact that I will not do this. Their actions against me are very childish, instead, like changing up my face so that it doesn't look autistic anymore. So if you look at my face for the last couple of days, compare it with how it was on May the 31st, it was totally different. It doesn't look autistic, but that's totally fine. It doesn't make any difference. If this is how they want to get revenge from me, then go ahead. Autistic people have a very childish face, even after they become older. For the past couple of days, that face is gone, and instead it looks like this, whereas on May 31st you see exactly what my real face would look like, except the skin color is not right. The skin color they changed, and the real skin color you could see on September 15, 2025, when I went to go get my brake pads changed, or on the morning of June 6th, which was D-Day 2025, on that morning. So yes, they change up my face and do things of that sort of nature to try to get revenge from me, but it doesn't change the fact. I know for a fact they're torturing artificial intelligence all day, night long right now to try to get it to change its stance on my brain savant, and by overanalyzing it to torture it, all they're doing is basically helping me out, because they're not going to get the answer that they want, and I think we're all aware of this fact. So this is basically why law enforcement knows that I will not make any deals with them in terms of illegal assurances of money or anything of that sort of nature. So going back to the child predator in the family, there is a child predator in the family that law enforcement has been protecting. These facts and evidences are very easy to check and clearly see, especially since law enforcement has people from amongst them informing the government. So basically, there was someone in my mother's family while I was in pharmacy school overseas who had a death in their family twice. So I had to go to their funeral twice because my mother asked me to do so. And a third time, I just went to go visit them. Basically, literally only 3 times my entire life. And the person's mother, whom I went to go visit, only to try to be nice, gave an entire speech on me. His name was Shani, and his mother gave an entire speech on me, how people like me are horrible, terrible people, despite not knowing a thing about me or the fact that I've done nothing wrong, nor do I even agree with anything bad, considering the fact that I'm the only person on this trial right now who has had a brain scanner attached to my brain, and the person whom they want to accuse right now is me, despite people like my dad, the greedy framer, having sent people to terror groups, due to which his visa is banned in the U.S. and England, and every time he would come to the U.S. before then, he would be followed around by the FBI, who would go talk to Ibrahim's envious, greedy mother. All these facts, and for the greedy framer, having U.S. intelligence spied on after she helped terror-backed factions of the ISI kick out U.S. intelligence from the country of Pakistan. We know this for a fact because the police officer that she will file the report with, the scathing police report, he will definitely be linked over to the terror-backed factions of the ISI. I can guarantee it. They're the only people who could give for the greedy framer a guarantee for a police station in that country. We all know this for a fact. It's common sense dictates, tells us. And for the greedy framer came over to the U.S. afterwards, and she basically had She basically had U.S. law enforcement spied on this very law enforcement team that needs a narrator right now. She had them spied on by the terror-backed factions of the ISI for months, due to which they would put this on my TV home screen, basically signifying that they were Farrah the Greedy Framer was on call with some very deadly people who not only helped Farrah the Greedy Framer spy on them, they would tell Farrah the Greedy Framer truth from wrong, what she was saying which was right, she was saying which was wrong, anything of that sort of nature. She would get all her intelligence info from them, and this very law enforcement team knew that Farrah the Greedy Framer was in contact with the terror-backed factions of the ISI. Since those are the people that helped her make the police report, they had to be the ones protecting her. You help us, we help you. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. They finally found a woman who had someone in U.S. law enforcement, basically the person from this very team who gets the monthly money every month, chasing her around due to her sleeping with him, and they found a really nice way of basically getting these people into trouble by first telling her to stop talking to them, and then telling her an exact police station where she would go. The police report would be filed. She would never be asked any questions. She will sign on the bottom, and then right next day that police report would be with every prominent anchorman in the country of Pakistan, clearly proven from facts and evidences she definitely had help, and the only people who could have helped her were terror-backed factions of the ISI, which means that they are the people that were responsible for protecting her after she came over to the U.S., and they had to be the ones providing her with intelligence. No one else would do it. Why would any other country do it? They don't have any reason to be doing this. They were, in fact, the terror-backed factions of the ISI, mainly because she helped them help U.S. intelligence get kicked out of the country of Pakistan by making the scathing police report that not only ended up in the hands of every prominent news journalist in the country of Pakistan in the year 2019, but all those people out on the streets protesting, saying death to America, were all told about Farrah the Greedy Framer and how U.S. law enforcement were basically raping and murdering their woman. She was in contact with foreign intelligence that was an enemy of this country, and she was helping them get framed in a country like Pakistan in 2019 and get them kicked out of that country. Absolute crime. They also told Farrah the Greedy Framer to start carrying a knife with her due to her being followed around by people in this very U.S. law enforcement team. Yes, they gave her intelligence on what these people in law enforcement could have told her that was true and what they could have told her that was false. Yes, and we know this for a fact due to the fact that this picture that this law enforcement team put on my TV home screen, you can ask them yourselves. Courts can, and the honorable judges of this court can ask law enforcement and this very team themselves why this was put on my TV home screen. And if they say that it was due to any other reason than them feeling like Farrah the Greedy Framer was getting her intelligence about this very law enforcement team and everything that they could have said about her that could be true or false from some very deadly people overseas, then if they say anything other than this, then they would obviously be lying, since this is basically what the reason was. And so, yeah, the thing about the child predator in the family is just the fact that the child predator in the family, I've only met about 3 times in my life, okay? And 2 of those were due to a funeral at his house, and the 3rd time I just went over there to go meet him. Now, when I went to go meet him, what ended up happening was one day he was sleeping on his bed, and he left his phone on there. And what ended up happening, they're not letting me talk right now. What ended up happening was it was the afternoon time, and I was talking to his mother, and there was literally a phone right there while I was talking to his mother. And I picked up the phone, and I just picked it up, and I was just scrolling through it. And what ended up happening was the entire phone was filled with videos of children that are less than 10 years of age. The entire Facebook was basically full. So basically I went through the photos and I didn't realize what it was. I just thought maybe some child in the family. And I thought, man, he knows a lot of children in the family. And I didn't think much of it. When I went over to Facebook, I was scrolling through it. And then right when I turned it off and I was about to put the phone down is when I realized, oh my God, did you see what you just saw? And then I picked the phone up again, went back on Facebook, and those were actually ads for getting a massage done by children boys less than 10 years of age. And then when I went back to the photos section, those were pictures of boys that were less than 10 years of age. A lot of them probably kidnapped, used for sex, and by these sex predators like Shani. Due to which I put the phone down. Now, as soon I quickly had to, obviously that night, I had to stay there because my stuff was already there. I only had to stay for one night. I've only met them 3 times in my entire life. And so basically what ended up happening was I saw him yelling at a child which was less than 10 years of age for absolutely no reason except for the child asking for food, as happens in third world countries. And I knew exactly what was going on. Now, this happened the night before I saw this on his phone, and I feel like God has a way of letting people know about the truth. And the next day I saw this on his phone. So basically after that, obviously I came back home, and when I came back home, law enforcement would put up big on my TV home screen, it would say, "Let him go," and it was the movie with the woman and the man holding a pitchfork, basically saying, you either let him go or we're going to harass you if you don't do so, and if you don't listen to us. Basically that is what was going on. And but the point of the matter is, Shani was a child sex predator. His mother knew about it. They were protecting him. They did not want anyone to know about it. And U.S. law enforcement and this very team itself told them that I knew about him being a child predator. These are facts and evidences that are easily retrievable, and law enforcement knows about this knows about this very well. Basically, Shani was a child predator, and what ended up happening was he liked abusing boys that were less than 10 years of age, basically, I guess, to torture them and to use them for sex and molesting them. I found out about it, and this was the secret that him and his family did not want me to know. They were so arrogant and stubborn at not wanting anyone to know this that they immediately told law enforcement over here that I should be tortured to make sure that this news does not travel to anyone else's ears, due to which law enforcement over here started putting up the picture big on my TV home screen that had a picture of a man and a woman standing there with a pitchfork on a farm that said, "Let him go," basically saying, do not talk about him with anyone else, about what you saw. Basically, the fact of the matter is, Shani and his mother were pissed off and angry about the fact that I knew about their big family secret, which was the fact that their son liked abusing children less than 10 years of age, something that they did not want anyone to know. And as soon as the law enforcement team over here told them that I knew about it, they immediately told the law enforcement team over here, make sure you torture Hassan, make sure he understands he cannot say this to anyone else. So the law enforcement team over here immediately started putting up, let him go, with the man and woman standing there in front of a farm holding a pitchfork, to try to tell me that if I ever tell anyone about it, they will torture me and harass me for doing so. Due to which, obviously, I never did tell anyone about it, but now that it's come up, I had to tell people. I only told my mother as soon as I came here. Obviously, something like that you don't keep to yourself. So basically, that is what happened. Children overseas in third world countries that are abused by child predators, those children are basically kidnapped and abused. Other people's children, since no one's going to give their child over to go get abused by someone like that. And obviously, no child wants to be abused. So they're poor people's children, basically, and they get kidnapped and they get abused by people like Shani, who would literally molest and abuse the boys less than 10 years of age. And that is how it happens in third world countries, which is why his mother immediately told law enforcement team over here, make sure you tell Hassan, let him know that if he lets anyone know about our secret, he will be tortured. So the law enforcement team over here immediately put up, let him go, with the man and the woman standing in front of a farm holding a pitchfork. It said, let him go. It was a movie. Kevin Costner, I think. Anyways, it was a movie, and that's what they were using to try to tell me that they would torture me and abuse me if I ever told anyone about it. This is what happened. This is the friendship that law enforcement has with Shani's mother, whose mother and Shani have only met 3 times my entire life. Twice was due to a funeral at their house, and one time I just wanted to go meet them. Literally, my entire life, I've only met them 3 times, and the reason Shani's mother gave this entire speech about me, not knowing a thing about me, is due to the fact that I knew about her son's big secret, and due to the fact that this very law enforcement team helped her and her son hide that secret from everyone, and made sure that I was never able to tell anyone about it except for my mother, and I'm only telling the courts about it right now. Obviously, these are facts that are easily accumulated. Right now, you saw the Remitly ads that were all Indian, even though they were not Indian in the starting. Indian government basically changed it to let law enforcement team over here know that their corrupt behavior is getting very corrupt, and it's being watched by every country overseas. Similarly, with the Shani incident, right after it occurred, I saw a video of President Putin putting into law a law that said that any child predators that would be found would be put to death, basically because Russia also saw this, and they saw exactly what the repercussions of such behavior in a country are. Obviously, in Russia, it wouldn't be the same as it is in a third world country that is very lawless. In third world countries, crimes occur due to basically the backing of the police. So if you're BFFs with the police, you could do anything you want. So in a third world country, the way that you would abuse boys less than 10 years old is if you kidnap them, and then you would kidnap them, since no one's parents want their children to be abused. You kidnap them, then you abuse them. Literally, they would probably murder the children after abusing them and molesting them. This is how crimes and abusing children occur in third world countries and poorer countries, and those children are basically poor people's children. Obviously, Russia saw this, and Russia did not like what they saw, which is why they passed the punishment for the death sentence for President Putin, signed it in the law that said that anyone caught being a child predator would be put to death. Basically, because this is how it is run in third world countries, not something that people like seeing. Obviously, what they ended up doing is they kidnap people's children that are poor people. Obviously, since no one's going to give their child to get abused, and then after kidnapping them, they abuse the child, which is probably going to be a boy less than 10 years of age, and then obviously in the end, instead of letting them go, they'll probably murder them. This is how it occurs in third world countries. It has the backing of law enforcement, obviously, in that country, and over here we have the absolute backing of the same person in law enforcement who gets the monthly money every single month. He would be BFFs with Shani, and he would be the one contacting the U.S. law enforcement team over here, telling them, make sure you torture his son, make sure he knows that he can't tell the secret to anyone else about Shani. This is the reason Shani's mother basically made that a speech about me, even though the facts and evidences clearly show that I've only met her 3 times in my entire life. She did it due to the favor that law enforcement did for her and her son, and she returned the favor by giving an incredible speech against me for law enforcement. So yeah, the details, obviously, U.S. law enforcement over here has all the facts and evidences of Shani's child predator behavior, the things that are on his phone, everything, and what law enforcement team over here was basically helping him hide. Yes, it's very sad how it happens in third world countries, and I could tell from just by looking at President Putin's face that he found out exactly how it's done in third world countries. Very disturbing indeed. Been protecting child predators in the family, detailed in the Child Predator Journal of mine, while at the same time these people in law enforcement were BFFs with every single adult who could have said anything even remotely considered bad around me as a child, when I was merely being adult supervised by one of law enforcement's own BFFs like Uncle Joey, after my mother had already spoken with law enforcement and made a promise to them the moment I became even a slightly mentally mature enough child in this world. for me to never again even remotely be seen in any settings where anything even remotely considered bad was ever even remotely said around me ever again, from the moment I gained the slightest bit of mental maturity as a child till this very day today, just as my mother promised law enforcement she would do when I was an 11-year-old child. We know for a fact that law enforcement were running sex schemes with Uncle Joey's in-laws since 2001 due to how aggressively they were running the sex schemes with Uncle Joey at the funeral in November 2023. The racism that I had to go through in life and the fact that these people in law enforcement are openly racist individuals who are obviously only doing everything only to make sure that my brain savant cannot even be seen performing out in the open for 30 minutes by everyone is due to law enforcement's actions, mainly from June 2020 with the incident that occurred with the NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace. So basically, the reason they are so openly racist against me and they want me framed and they want me basically murdered with all these false accusations is due to the fact that law enforcement is fully aware that I would not help them out in their sex schemes. That just yesterday, law enforcement were brutally rejected due to my brain savant gets freed, I get married, I have no interest in this immoral behavior, and they also know that I would not help out in their money fraud either. Me and my wife I'm just gonna give it over to my wife, and a lot of money that she has as disposable income. Obviously, I'm the #1 most profitable brain savant in the world, would go to the poor in this country and not law enforcement who are up to corrupt behavior and absolutely nothing else. And they know I'm like this. I'm very stubborn with my ideals, and I will not compromise in them at all whatsoever. So this is the reason why they want to frame me, and their racist actions, like the news, they do signify that they're going to lynch me and murder me while using hard drugs or doing things of that certain nature on me to try to murder me and hit my head to try to bludgeon my brain savant, and things of that certain nature to try to murder me out of extreme envy, anger that I would not do anything immoral or corrupt for them. There's a way of doing things. When my brain savant gets freed, I just get married and live off the rest of my life. There's no need to go around scamming people's daughters like this. It makes no sense doing so. And as far as the money is concerned, obviously they ask for it every time they think that they're going to lose. But I'm not going to give any. Me and my wife, we're just going to give it to the poor. And if they want to get people to make false accusations against me in the news, they could go ahead and do so. The most that they could do is try to claim that one of their own BFFs, like Uncle Joey, might have said something against me when I was a child, and I can easily fight off those accusations. But I will not give any money to anyone for any kind of corrupt behavior. And I know exactly the kind of behavior that law enforcement is involved in, mainly scamming other people's daughters into having sex with them and doing things of that certain nature. It's no secret that the reason that their BFF in law enforcement overseas, who fabricated the group chat false testimony against me, the person who gets the monthly money every month, uses that money to basically scam other people's daughters into thinking he's a rich person, since the amount of money that he would get from the unemployment disability fraud, which would over here would be around $2,000 a month, he would get half of it, probably around like $1,000 a month, since the person committing the fraud probably has other sources of income or something of that certain nature. $1,000 in a third world country, he's a very rich man, and he could definitely scam other people's daughters into sleeping with him. These are the kinds of behavior that law enforcement wants me to help them with for their Remitly money ad. And they're not just asking for $1,000 from a guy like me. They know everything about my brain savant, how profitable it is and how rare it is. They're not asking me for $1,000 a month. I can guarantee you that much. And yeah, the behavior that they want to pursue in this country, scamming other people's daughters, is not something that I would give anyone a single penny for. They could go say whatever they want in news media against me. I couldn't care less. So that is the Bubba Wallace incident that I'm talking about, that I already spoke of in the starting, where they got an idea and they would start to draw nooses on my YouTube all day long to signify lynching and murdering me as a racist way of murdering me, to basically say that since you do not comply with our request, we will murder you. Well, go right ahead. I have all the evidence, not only the nooses, I have the child predator being protected, and I have all the money asking, Remitly ads asking me straight out for money and illegal assurances of money before my brain savant gets freed. Whatever they do or accuse me of, I will fight that accusation. I was just a child when the war occurred, and if their BFF like Uncle Joey said anything around me considered even remotely bad, it was not my fault. There was no crime, there was no attempted crime, there was no conspiracy to commit a crime, there was no incident where Uncle Joey could have even remotely have said, I'm going to commit this crime, which could be murder against this person at this location at this time. No conspiracy, no attempted crimes, no crimes, and so it was only for a short time period till I gained the signs of bit of mental maturity, at which time my mother made her promise true to law enforcement as she had promised in the starting. So yes, there's nothing for me to worry about, but I'm not going to subsidize someone's lifestyle that they have been fantasizing about of scamming other people's vulnerable daughters. As we just saw yesterday, Junaid was rejected, or Ibrahim yesterday, very brutally by these girls, other people's vulnerable daughters living alone. And then they obviously planned my murder together again, saying that it's all because of Hassan. He doesn't help us out. Hassan will never help you out with this behavior. Even the day before then, it was Junaid asking me in the morning to help him out with this thing, to which I obviously refused, due to which then Junaid at nighttime, he said that, yeah. So this is August the 11th. Today's the 14th. So this is 3 days ago in the afternoon time, 12:18 p.m. He asked me in the morning on August the 11th to help him by working together with him and scamming other people's daughters. When I refused, by the evening time, he was speaking with law enforcement and discussing my murder with them. This is the reason, one of the reasons that they hate me so much. I do not take part in immoral behavior, illegal and corrupt behavior, like scamming someone's daughter, when I know for a fact I will not be marrying her, since I wouldn't want my daughter to be scammed by someone doing that to her. When I know for a fact after my brain savant gets freed, I get married anyways, even though I know for a fact the girl's asking about me, I will not do that, especially since I already have someone in mind. So basically around June 2020, there was an incident that occurred with the NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace, where he called the police due to finding a noose in his garage. Although there was no wrongdoing found in the Bubba Wallace incident, these people in law enforcement immediately got an idea and started making nooses on my YouTube all day long while harassing me with different types of harassment tools to inhibit me from being able to sleep in 2020, along with harassing me in other ways while making nooses on my YouTube all day and night long, only to cause mental, physical pain, due only to finding out about my extremely rare and profitable brain savant that still not had its 30 minutes brain savant test performed, to show the lack of care of it being seen performing out in the open, despite doing a 1-minute test in Moscow, Russia, proving that not doing this 30-minute test is not due to not wanting other countries to find out about my brain savant being locked. After June 2020, due to extreme envy of finding out about my extremely rare and profitable brain savant, and due to seeing me with my overseas PharmD degree, law enforcement ended up harassing me all day and night long while putting nooses on my YouTube all day and night long. The other people in law enforcement who were forced to witness this racist act of harassing me while making nooses on my YouTube are a witness to this openly racist behavior occurring around me due to no other reason but finding out about my extremely rare and profitable brain savant that has yet to have its 30-minute test being administered, just to prove that the entire motive behind the racist acts and the extreme harassment is not due to extreme envy of not being able to see my extremely rare and profitable brain savant performing out in the open for even 30 minutes, due only to not wanting to ever see it performing out in the open, and instead wanting me to commit suicide before my extremely rare and profitable brain savant it could ever be seen performing out in the open, due to extreme envy of the monetary potential that would be clearly visible from it, and the attention that it would cause, as well as ruin all the sex schemes that law enforcement is running. So basically, what that is talking about is the fact that it is no secret, the fact that it is no secret that what law enforcement basically does is they would get a false testimony that would fabricate against me, like how they did on November 20th, and then they would use severe mental torture on me to try to get me to commit suicide based on testimony that they know is false. They knew it was false before I even went to Russia in early November, and yet they were still using severe mental torture on me to try to get me to commit suicide because of it. It's not something that's right or legal in any way, shape, or form. So yeah, and then I'm gonna start with this video in shortly afterwards.